Chapter 516, Chapter 272, The Immortal Manifests Foundation Establishment Peak. Every time he used the profound water turtle borrowing technique, a vortex of magical power would form in his dantian and condense into a temporary fake pill. It's going smoothly. Although an elixir pill hasn't formed yet, the aura emanating from the dantian is already close to what it's like when I condense a fake pill. I must be on the right path. With a serious expression, Chang'an carefully controlled the process of solidifying the pill with magical power. Had it been Xianxia herself, she might not have been able to do better. After all, he had heard and read countless insights on core formation over the years, and he periodically condensed a fake pill. Time flew by. 3 days later, inside Xianxia's dantian, at the very center of the magical power vortex, a bean-sized elixir pill had appeared. Although it had not yet fully formed, the aura emanating from the elixir pill already surpassed that of Chang'an's fake pill. Moreover, its aura was continuously rising. Soon another 2 days had passed. The elixir pill had become perfectly round and was emitting the aura of a true pill. This session of condensing magical power into a pill was drawing to a close. Just as the process was about to conclude, mottled golden specks began to appear on the perfectly round true pill. Just as I thought, a half-step immortal golden core. Chang'an nodded slightly. The pill quality was within his expectations. However, at that very moment, the golden symbol within Xianxia's spine suddenly flew into her dantian, erupting with a brilliant light that bathed the entire space in gold. Chang'an faintly sensed a special power fly from the golden symbol into the elixir pill. In the blink of an eye, the golden symbol returned to her spine, and the half-step immortal golden core in Xianxia's dantian had transformed, becoming entirely golden. It was now a true immortal golden core. That's even possible. Chang'an was somewhat astonished. He stared at the golden symbol in Xianxia's spine, intending to investigate it again. But the golden symbol seemed to sense his intentions. It suddenly shattered into a shower of golden light motes that roamed throughout the spine, giving him no chance to capture them. Run all you want, one day I'll catch you. Chang'an stopped paying it any mind and continued with the core formation. The magic power barrier was finished. Next was the divine sense trial. Although Xianxia's divine sense was not as strong as Chang'an's, it far surpassed that of a foundation establishment cultivator, so this stage also went very smoothly. A few hours later, the core formation was officially complete. Chang'an stood up, waved his hand, and the secret chamber's door opened, allowing the aura of core formation to waft out. Sensing this aura, Wang Chuanjian and the others all broke into smiles. Haha, I knew Xianxia would succeed. Xianxia, what is your pill quality? They all stepped forward. Right now, their biggest concern was the quality of her core formation. When Chang'an spoke the 3 words, immortal golden core, the entire seclusion area fell silent. Including elder sect leader Xianxia, the many golden core cultivators seemed to be petrified, standing motionless where they were, the expressions on their faces frozen. In the 1,000+ years since the 10,000 Sword sect was founded, a cultivator with an immortal golden core had never appeared. It wasn't just the 10,000 Sword sect. The entire southern domain cultivation realm had never produced a golden core of such quality. After a long moment, elder sect leader Xianxia, with tears streaming down his aged face, looked to the heavens and cried out, "The ancestors have blessed us. My 10,000 Sword sect has finally produced a true celestial pride." Hearing this, Chang'an scoffed inwardly. What ancestors' blessing? It was all the work of that golden symbol. Xianxia, cultivate well. You have the potential for the nascent soul realm. In the future, you will definitely be able to take that step into nascent soul formation. Xianxia's voice was even trembling slightly. In his lifetime, he might be able to witness the 10,000 Sword sect give birth to a nascent soul true monarch, and the entire sect ascend to the status of a nascent soul great sect. Afterward, he looked at the others and had them all make a Tao-heart vow not to reveal the true quality of Xianxia's core formation. After some discussion, they all decided to announce publicly that Xianxia had only formed a superior true pill. An immortal golden core was simply too shocking and would definitely attract the Western cultivators to hunt her. The Purple Mist sect, a nascent soul upper sect, would also cast its gaze upon them. At that point, the 10,000 Swords sect might not be able to protect Xianxia. 3 months later, Xianxia's core formation ceremony was held successfully. Chang'an obtained many treasures from this core formation ceremony. He returned laden with numerous congratulatory gifts. On his way back to Chang'an Mountain, he suddenly learned a shocking piece of news. What? A Tier 3 top-grade spirit vein has appeared in the southern domain, and it's currently unclaimed. Upon hearing this news, Chang'an's expression immediately became grave. It was in dire need of a Tier 3 spirit vein right now. The junior chi refining cultivator he had captured said, "Yes, senior, we should hurry over. I heard there are many spirit plants on that spirit vein. If we get there too late, others will have already picked them." "All right." Chang'an immediately transformed into a streak of escape light and sped toward the location he mentioned. Along the way, he saw quite a few people rushing toward the spirit vein's location. Most of them had looks of shock and excitement on their faces. After the earth tremor many years ago, although many new spirit veins had appeared in the southern domain, most were only Tier 1 and a few were Tier 2. A Tier 3 spirit vein had never appeared. If that weren't the case, Yihao wouldn't have gone so far as to choose the depths of the ancient wood secret realm for the Huang Alliance's mountain gate. This new spirit vein was still ownerless. If he could occupy it first, he would have a Dao field for after his core formation. A few hours later, a majestic and magnificent mountain range, 10,000 jang tall and soaring into the clouds, appeared before his eyes. It was precisely the Tier 3 spirit vein. The spiritual power at its core was extremely dense, in no way inferior to the spirit veins of the three great sects. It was even faintly approaching Tier 4, making it a very ideal Dao field. Chapter 517, Chapter 272, An Immortal Manifests Foundation Establishment Peak. However, Chang'an was a step too late. He saw from afar a quasi-Tier 4 purple flying ship resting atop a high mountain, blocking the many cultivators who wanted to enter. "This mountain is now the property of my Purple Mist sect. All of you please leave." The voice of Zai, the Xianxia saintess, rang out, carrying a tone that permitted no refusal. Hearing this, the crowd that had rushed over was unwilling to accept it. But there was nothing they could do. Faced with a behemoth like the Purple Mist sect, the entire southern domain had no means to resist. So be it, some things can't be forced. Chang'an shook his head slightly and sighed softly. He had been very pleased with this new spirit vein and had planned to use his Tier 3 puppet and Tier 3 array to occupy it. But now, that was all it could be, a thought. Several hours later, Chang'an returned to Chang'an Mountain. He entered his cave residence and continued to cultivate, accumulating magical power. Before long, more news arrived concerning the new Tier 3 spirit vein. The members of the Purple Mist sect had originally been cultivating at the Cyan Cloud sect, but now they had all left and moved to the new spirit vein. This move completely extinguished any hopes the various factions of the southern domain might have had. Evidently, the Purple Mist sect was preparing to use that spirit vein as a base, similar to a subsect. In the days that followed, the various factions began a frantic search for new spirit veins, attempting to find another Tier 3 spirit vein. But soon, a shift in the war on the border forced everyone to turn their attention back to the battle between the two domains. Time flew by, and in a flash, 3 years had passed. On this day, Chang'an sat cross-legged in the depths of his cave residence. He operated his cultivation technique at full power, absorbing the heaven and earth spiritual power. Within his dantian, there were already 364 drops of liquid magical power. At this moment, the final drop was slowly forming. Before long, with a soft drip, a drop of liquid magical power fell to the bottom of his dantian. Chang'an's whole body trembled, and a profound aura emanated from him. Foundation Establishment Peak. He opened his eyes, a hint of joy flashing within them. Today, he had officially reached the end of the Foundation Establishment path. Within his dantian, 365 drops of liquid magical power shone brilliantly, like a sky full of stars, faintly exuding a sense of perfection. If Chang'an wished, he could attempt to break through to the core formation realm right now. With his current preparations, he had a high chance of achieving core formation even without being on a Tier 3 spirit vein. But he immediately suppressed the thought. "I can't be hasty. I have a lifespan of over 500 years, and I'm only just over 120 now. Rushing things will only be counterproductive. First, I'll see how the war between the two domains is going. Chang'an ended his seclusion, rose slowly, and transformed into a streak of spiritual light, leaving Chang'an Mountain to gather news from various places. Soon he learned some rather bad news. During the time he was in seclusion breaking through to the Foundation establishment peak, the defensive lines of the Southern Domain's major factions had collapsed, and the Western Domain's Grand Army had invaded. The many Southern Domain factions near the Western Domain's border, whether they were Qi refining or Foundation establishment factions, had no choice but to abandon their spiritual lands and flee to the heart of the Southern Domain. Quite a few cultivators had already fled to the Ping mountain region. Ancestor, you're finally out of seclusion. Luo Yunchu and Wang Lingjing hurried over, their young faces filled with unconcealable worry. Before long, Chen Dan also rushed from the Chen clan territory to Chang'an Mountain. Ancestor, given the current situation, the Western Domain's army will be here soon. What should we do? Should we abandon Chang'an Mountain? The three great families were loath to abandon the enterprises they had built over many years, and were unwilling to just pack up and leave. But if they didn't leave, when the Western Domain's army arrived, forget their enterprises. They likely wouldn't even be able to save their own lives. Don't panic. Chang'an shook his head slightly, still very calm. The major Golden Core influences are currently in discussion. They will soon block the Western cultivators who have invaded the Southern Domain. We haven't reached the most critical moment yet. Ancestor, how do you know? I have my own sources. The reason Chang'an knew was because the few Golden Core puppets he controlled were currently gathered with numerous Golden Core masters, discussing the matter. In the days that followed, the various factions of the Southern Domain worked together and, after a bloody battle, barely managed to hold back the Western cultivators, temporarily halting their advance. In this great battle, Chang'an controlled Xianxia and slew 4 of the Western Domain's Golden Core masters in a row. She became famous in a single battle, her might shaking all directions. Xianxia, in her flowing white dress, had an otherworldly temperament and celestial beauty. She seemed like a true female sword immortal who had descended to the mortal realm, earning the admiration of countless male cultivators. Even a few Golden Core masters from the Purple Mist sect began to visit frequently after this battle. But Chang'an, using the urgency of the war as an excuse, paid little attention to these Purple Mist sect cultivators. Although the people of the Western Domain were stopped from penetrating into the heartland of the Southern Domain, the battlefront had undeniably advanced a great deal. Now, the ancient ruin's secret realm was completely under the Western Domain's control. The factions of the Southern Domain all wanted to reclaim it, but lacked the power, only able to barely prevent the Western Domain from advancing further. As for the families and sect cultivators who had lost their spiritual lands, they all had to find a way to seek out new ones. For a time, many wandering cultivators appeared all across the Southern Domain. A large number of unfamiliar faces also appeared near Chang'an Mountain, nearly all of whom had fled from the west. To ensure Chang'an Mountain's stability, Chang'an used his fake pill Divine Sense and the stone eye to scan all the nearby cultivators. Soon he discovered something amiss. A few cultivators who had been planted with a bloodline were mixed among the many unfamiliar cultivators, attempting to enter the 3 great families as honored guest elders. Chang'an guessed that these few were likely Kang's handiwork. Because he had delayed practicing the problematic demon planting technique, Kang must be getting anxious. That guy finally couldn't sit still any longer. I'll just wait and see what he plans to do next. Chang'an was very patient. In this kind of long-distance confrontation, the more anxious one became, the more likely they were to reveal a flaw. Besides these few with the bloodline, Chang'an had made another discovery. The unfamiliar aura of a Tier 3 demon beast had flashed past outside Chang'an Mountain before vanishing. An earth element demon beast with the aura of a dragon species. Could it be Liu Xuanfeng's ink-scaled earth dragon? Chang'an's eyes were deep as he gazed into the distance. Meanwhile, in a place far from Chang'an Mountain, the ink-scaled earth dragon emerged from the ground, staring at Chang'an Mountain, a trace of greed flashing in its demonic eyes. The 10,000 demon blood stone, I must have it. The Southern Domain is getting more and more chaotic. I refuse to believe Li Chang'an can stay on Chang'an Mountain for the rest of his life. It retracted its gaze, turned, and hurried toward the Black Dragon Mountain range to hunt. Before long, Li Chang'an entered the black market. He found Luo Qiantong and instructed him, Qiantong, for the next few days, keep an eye out for news of a Tier 3 Earth Dragon. Yes. Luo Qiantong's expression was solemn, as he immediately mobilized the entire organization's power to gather information for Li Chang'an. Just half a day later, a piece of news arrived from the Black Dragon Mountain range. Uncle Li, 1 hour ago, a few Foundation establishment cultivators planned to hunt a Tier 2 Great Demon. When they arrived, they found the Tier 2 Great Demon had already been killed. The essence of the demon corpse had been completely devoured, and the aura of a dragon-type demon beast was at the scene. Luo Qiantong handed the jade scroll in his hand to Li Chang'an. It contained a detailed record of the location and specific circumstances of the Tier 2 Great Demon's death. According to the record, the lingering aura of the dragon-type demon beast had left the few Foundation establishment cultivators terrified. It was most likely not a Tier 2 Great Demon, but a Tier 3 Demon King. I understand. Li Chang'an nodded slightly and gave him a large sum of spirit stones as payment. Afterward, he took the profound water turtle and Dawang with him, transformed into a streak of spiritual light, and shot straight toward the Black Dragon Mountain range. Ziohai Dawang were going dragon hunting. Chapter 518, Chapter 273, Dawang's Advancement, White Jade Ganoderma. Black Dragon Mountain range. Inside a long, narrow canyon. A Tier 2 Earth element Great Demon once resided here, but now only blood and gore remained. Li Chang'an arrived, released Dawang, and had it track the scent of the Tier 3 Earth Dragon. A moment later, he transformed into a streak of light. Following Dawang's guidance, he shot straight into the depths of the Black Dragon Mountain range. About 2 hours later, Li Chang'an landed outside a cave residence. This cave residence had been left behind by an ancient cultivator. It was first discovered by a human race cultivator, but was later occupied by a Tier 2 late-stage Earth element Great Demon. This Great Demon was killed too. Li Chang'an walked inside, his gaze calm as it swept across the entire cave. The cave was filled with the stench of blood. The corpse of the Earth element Great Demon lay in the depths of the cave. The demon core and the choicest parts of its flesh and blood had been devoured. A strong dragon beast aura lingered in the cave. Dawang keep tracking it. Li Chang'an transformed into a streak of light and left the cave, continuing the pursuit based on Dawang's guidance. For the next 2 days, they arrived at the lairs of several Tier 2 Great Demons, one after another, only to find mangled demon corpses. In the blink of an eye, it was noon on the 3rd day. Just then, Dawang suddenly gave a warning. The aura of the Tier 3 Earth Dragon had become crystal clear. It was just ahead. Li Chang'an immediately recalled Dawang and used the refining shadow invisible technique. His aura was concealed to the absolute limit, and his figure vanished on the spot as he stealthily approached the area ahead. Soon he saw the ink-scaled Earth Dragon. It was covered in blood, sprawled over the corpse of a Quasi-Tier 3 Earth element demon beast, tearing huge bites of flesh. Its ferocious expression held a hint of satisfaction. Beast Taming Wheel go. With a single thought, Li Chang'an controlled the beast taming wheel with both his fake pill magical power and his divine sense. The beast taming wheel instantly erupted with golden light, like a magnificent sun descending from the heavens, and abruptly pressed down on the ink-scaled Earth Dragon. The beast taming wheel. The ink-scaled Earth Dragon cried out in alarm, recognizing the magical treasure. After all, it was a demon beast from a nascent soul immortal sect. Its knowledge was far greater than the Zhou family's old demon king, and it knew exactly what the beast taming wheel was for. For that very reason, it didn't have the slightest intention of resisting. It instantly used its earth escape technique, attempting to flee the beast taming wheel's suppression. But in the next instant, the beast taming wheel transformed into a streak of golden light, dove into the earth, and chased straight after it. Just a few breaths later, boom, the ground not far away suddenly exploded, and the ink-scaled Earth Dragon's miserable figure appeared. The beast taming wheel was clamped around its neck. Golden symbols flew out one after another, striking its body, each one making it howl in agony. AGH. The ink-scaled Earth Dragon's expression was one of pain as it wailed continuously. "Which elder is here? I'm not some wild mountain demon. I am a demon servant under Liu Xuanfeng of the Purple Mist sect. I beg you to be merciful, elder." Suppressed by the beast-taming wheel, it was completely powerless to resist and could only hastily announce its backing. It hoped its opponent would be wary of the Purple Mist sect's name. "Earth Dragon, if you want to live, answer a few of my questions." Li Chang'an appeared, looking at it indifferently. The ink-scaled Earth Dragon froze, then cried out in disbelief, "It's you, Li Chang'an." It never would have imagined that Li Chang'an, whom it had considered prey, would dare to leave Chang'an Mountain and take the initiative to hunt /it. Moreover, Li Chang'an's strength far exceeded its estimates. "You hid your strength so well." The ink-scaled Earth Dragon couldn't help but feel frustrated. Li Chang'an's disguise had been too good. If it had known Li Chang'an was this powerful, it never would have spied on Chang'an Mountain, nor would it have left Liu Xuanfeng's side. As long as it stayed by Liu Xuanfeng's side, it believed Li Chang'an wouldn't dare to make a move. After all, Liu Xuanfeng's father was the saint child of the Purple Mist sect. The ink-scaled Earth Dragon roared, "Li Chang'an, you're so audacious. Aren't you afraid of retaliation from the Purple Mist sect?" Li Chang'an said coolly, "The Purple Mist sect wouldn't go to war over a mere beast like you." "You?" Fury filled the ink-scaled Earth Dragon's face as it was about to use its demonic power. But in the next instant, the beast-taming wheel jolted. Golden light flared, crushing it with unbearable pain and making it scream again and again. "Stop, stop, I'll cooperate." The ink-scaled Earth Dragon endured the intense pain and shouted hastily, "Li Chang'an, whatever you want to ask, just ask it." "I don't feel like asking anymore." "You, EGH." The ink-scaled Earth Dragon shrieked endlessly. It was tortured until it was covered in blood, its skin split and flesh torn open, as if its entire body was being sliced apart inch by inch. It couldn't help but regret talking back to Li Chang'an. Otherwise, it wouldn't be suffering such agony. The torture finally ended after a full quarter of an hour. By now, the ink-scaled Earth Dragon was on the brink of death. It didn't dare to resist any longer. It said weakly, "Elder Li, I will cooperate. I'll answer anything you ask." "Good, your attitude is acceptable." Li Chang'an nodded slightly and landed in front of the Earth Dragon. He had already set up a grand array here, isolating it from the outside world. Outsiders would be completely unable to perceive what was happening within the array. Li Chang'an asked, "Earth Dragon, you targeted me time and again. Was it for the 10,000 demon bloodstone?" "Yes, Elder Li. Back then in the main hall of the Cyan Cloud sect, I sensed the aura of the 10,000 demon bloodstone on you." The ink-scaled Earth Dragon answered honestly. The reason it could sense the 10,000 demon bloodstone's aura was because it possessed a treasure-hunting talent. This talent made it exceptionally sensitive to the auras of all kinds of treasures. Li Chang'an asked again, "The 10,000 demon bloodstone has already been refined by my spirit beast. Even if you captured my spirit beast, what use would it be?" "Elder, since I was able to smell the aura of the 10,000 demon bloodstone, it means your spirit beast hasn't completely refined it yet. A significant amount of the treasure's power should still remain within its body, and it will slowly merge with his bloodline over time." Chapter 519, Chapter 273, Dawang's Advancement, White Jade Ganoderma. The ink-scaled Earth Dragon admitted that what he wanted was the residual power. Even if only a very small amount remained, it would still be of great benefit to him. "I see." Li Chang'an nodded slightly. One of his questions had been answered. He brought out Dawang and sent a stream of magical power through him, inspecting him from head to tail, but he didn't find any residual power from the 10,000 demon bloodstone. It seems the power has almost completely fused with Dawang. It would be difficult for an outsider to detect. A creature like the ink-scaled Earth Dragon with its treasure-hunting talent was an exception. Fortunately, Li Chang'an already possessed a treasure like the Qi-concealing pearl. Even if he encountered another exception, he wouldn't be discovered. He then asked, "Earth Dragon, how many nascent soul cultivators does the Purple Mist sect have?" "There are 2 nascent soul true monarchs, both of whom are supreme elders of the Purple Mist sect." "Isn't the sect leader one?" "No, the sect leader is often someone with insufficient talent for cultivation but good administrative skills. The Purple Mist sect's sect leader is only a late golden core stage cultivator." After some questioning, Li Chang'an learned quite a bit about the Purple Mist sect. Liu Xuanfeng's father was indeed a saint child of the Purple Mist sect. The quality of his core formation was extremely high, resulting in a half-step immortal golden core. He now possessed a late-stage golden core cultivation and met the conditions to break through to the nascent soul realm. But his status was no match for that of the Zai Saintess. The ink-scaled earth dragon said, "The Zai Saintess's status is much higher than the other saint children and saintesses, simply because her master is the Purple Mist sect's youngest nascent soul supreme elder, Fairy Xianxia." How young? Fairy Xianxia reached nascent soul formation at just over 200 years old, and she is not yet 300 now. A nascent soul cultivator's lifespan can be over 1,000 years. Hearing this, Li Chang'an fell into thought. A nascent soul true monarch under 300 years old is truly young. In the future, she might even become a late-stage nascent soul great cultivator. No wonder the expressions of those people on the flying ship were so strange when I refused to follow the Zai Saintess. Her background is that powerful. For an ordinary loose cultivator, that refusal was tantamount to losing a great opportunity. But Li Chang'an's mindset was firm. He had his divination ability and didn't need such opportunities. Next, Li Chang'an asked for more information. But this earth dragon was not a true member of the Purple Mist sect, after all. He was merely a demon servant and didn't know much. He begged Li Chang'an to spare his life, expressing his willingness to follow him and use his treasure-hunting talent to help Li Chang'an go further on the immortal path. However, Li Chang'an had his divination ability to find windfalls. He had no need for a treasure-hunting talent. Crack! He unleashed the celestial wood immortal wheel and decapitated the earth dragon. Inside its head was a brown Tier 3 demon pill. Its aura was extremely violent, making it unsuitable for alchemy. Dahuang stared eagerly at the demon pill, his tail wagging furiously. "Don't be hasty. Let's first see what treasures this earth dragon has collected." Li Chang'an smiled. He didn't give the demon pill to him and began to process the earth dragon's demon corpse. In the earth dragon's abdomen was a sack, similar to a human race cultivator's storage pouch. Inside the sack were the numerous treasures it had accumulated over many years. When Li Chang'an opened it and took a look, a delighted expression immediately appeared on his face. As expected of a demon beast with a treasure-hunting talent, it actually collected so many treasures. Flowing yellow stone, red lotus root, quicksand crystal. These are all top-grade treasures for helping an earth element demon beast advance to Tier 3. The earth element treasures in this sack were enough for Dahuang to advance to Tier 3. Li Chang'an's original plan had been to look for advancement treasures for Dahuang after he himself reached core formation. But now there was no need to go to the trouble. This earth dragon had prepared everything for him. After we get back, I'll have Dahuang advance to Tier 3. With a wave of his hand, Li Chang'an collected all the treasures. He swept his magical power and divine sense over the ink-scaled earth dragon's entire demon corpse, completely erasing the mark left by Liu Xuanfeng. Then he retrieved the array, erased all traces and auras from the area, and departed as a streak of light. A few days later, Liu Xuanfeng arrived at the location. His face was contorted with fury as he roared at the sky. "Who was it? Who was so audacious as to kill a spirit beast of my Purple Mist sect?" The others exchanged glances but said nothing. Meanwhile, Li Chang'an had already arrived at the Zhou family's territory and set up a grand array that blotted out the sky. After making thorough preparations, Dahuang began his attempt to break through to the Tier 3 realm. Before long, the sky began to churn with wind and clouds, forming a massive celestial phenomenon more than 6 li in diameter. But this celestial phenomenon was concealed by Li Chang'an's array, so not even the Zhou clan members noticed it. Only 6 li. It can't compare to the profound water turtle's 8 li celestial phenomenon. Dahuang's foundation is ultimately a bit weaker. He's at a disadvantage because of his bloodline. I wonder if I'll be able to find a treasure to enhance his bloodline in the future. Li Chang'an watched the celestial phenomenon, thinking quietly to himself. When he was still weak, he had relied entirely on Dahuang's protection to deal with the tribulation cultivators who had targeted him. After all these years, the man and the demon had established complete trust. He naturally hoped that Dahuang could accompany him further on his path. A few days later, Dahuang successfully advanced, becoming a Tier 3 demon king. The quality of his demon pill was decent. It was a superior demon pill. As soon as his advancement was complete, he ran off to pick a fight with the profound water turtle. As expected, he came back beaten black and blue. "Master, I still can't beat that wretched turtle." "It's fine. Your skills lie not in combat but in tracking." Chang'an smiled and tossed out a few earth element treasures, telling him to properly consolidate his cultivation. After advancing to Tier 3, Dahuang could no longer stay on Chang'an Mountain long-term. He could only cultivate on the Tier 3 spirit vein in the Zhou clan territory. Thinking of this, Chang'an's desire to possess a Tier 3 spirit vein of his own grew even stronger. "I'll deal with the spirit vein later. For now, I'll focus on breaking through to Tier 3 body refinement." He returned to his Chang'an Mountain cave mansion, took out the Earth Dragon Essence blood, and began to prepare the medicinal liquid for Tier 3 body refinement. Chapter 520, Chapter 273, Dahuang's Advancement, White Jade Ganoderma. Before long, the cave residence was filled with the foul stench of blood and bitterness. Chang'an stepped into the medicinal bath. Almost instantly, he felt a pain akin to being sliced by 1,000 knives. He frowned slightly, but he quickly adapted to the pain. "At my current pace, my body refinement will break through to Tier 3 in about 2 more years." At that time, Chang'an could officially attempt his breakthrough to core formation. He wouldn't need to spare any energy for the physical body barrier or the divine sense barrier. He would only need to focus wholeheartedly on the step of condensing his magical power, using all his strength to form an immortal golden core. A year passed in the blink of an eye. During this year, Chang'an spent most of his energy on breaking through to Tier 3 body refinement. He would often spare some focus to control a few golden core puppets on the Two Realms battlefield, dealing with the golden core cultivators from the Western domain. No matter what, before he reached core formation, he had to keep the Western cultivators out of the Southern domain's heartland. Otherwise, he feared he wouldn't be able to achieve core formation in peace. Additionally, he frequently monitored the movements of the various cultivators from the Purple Mist sect. News of Liu Xuanfeng's spirit beast being killed had long since spread throughout the southern domain. Everyone wanted to know just who was bold enough to dare attack a spirit beast from the Purple Mist sect. However, the matter remained unresolved. Late one night, Chang'an lay in the medicinal bath, reading through ancient texts to distract himself from the pain. Just after midnight, a golden light appeared as usual. "The divination has been refreshed. Today's divination, peaceful trigram. Liu Xuanfeng suspects you killed the ink-scaled earth dragon and has asked several golden core masters from the Purple Mist sect to besiege Chang'an Mountain, but they will soon be stopped by the Zai Saintess, who will learn of the plot." A peaceful trigram. Chang'an read the contents of the divination, his expression remaining calm. Since the Zai Saintess will intervene, there's nothing to worry about. After all, she has a nascent soul-true monarch backing her. The next day, around noon, just as the divination had predicted, Liu Xuanfeng appeared with 5 golden core masters in tow. They didn't waste any words and attacked directly. 5 streams of golden core magical power descended from the sky, heavily bombarding Chang'an Mountain. They were attempting to shatter the Chang'an Mountain Grand Array with brute force. However, this mighty attack landed on Chang'an Mountain without causing the slightest ripple. The tier of this array is higher than we thought. However, Chang'an Mountain Spirit Vein is only Tier 2. Maintaining a Tier 3 array long-term requires a massive amount of spirit stones. That Chang'an is merely at foundation establishment. He can't possibly last long, a middle-stage golden core cultivator from the Purple Mist sect suggested. We should attack continuously to deplete his supply of spirit stones. If the 5 of us take turns, we'll eventually exhaust his supply and the array will collapse. But just as they were preparing to act, a cold, clear voice rang out from the distant horizon. Several core formation masters, ganging up on a foundation establishment junior. "Are you all trying to bring shame upon our Purple Mist sect?" Hearing this, the expressions of Liu Xuanfeng and the 5 golden core masters changed in unison. The speaker was none other than the Zai Saintess. They could tell from her tone that Zai was extremely displeased with their actions. "Saintess, please calm your anger." With no other choice, they could only retreat. After they were far from Chang'an Mountain, Liu Xuanfeng's expression was grim. "The Saintess wants to protect that Chang'an," he asked. "Do any of you have a good solution?" The middle stage golden core cultivator shook his head. This matter cannot be rushed. We need a long-term plan. But I don't have much time. Liu Xuanfeng was resentful. He could no longer stay in the southern domain and had to return to the Purple Mist sect for his core formation. His rivals within the sect were also achieving core formation one after another, and they would likely cause him trouble. Once he went back, there was no telling when he could return to the southern domain. Uncle Wang, after I leave, I must ask you to find an opportunity to take down this Li Chang'an. Liu Xuanfeng looked at the middle stage golden core cultivator. This man's name was Wang Zhao. His strength was considerable, though only at the middle stage of golden core, he had the means to barely hold his own against a late-stage golden core cultivator. He nodded. All right, Xuanfeng, you go back and focus on your core formation. Don't worry about matters in the southern domain. I will deliver that Li Chang'an to you as soon as possible. Hearing this, Liu Xuanfeng felt somewhat relieved. He glanced back at Chang'an Mountain, his eyes filled with killing intent. Meanwhile, on Chang'an Mountain Peak, inside the courtyard, Li Chang'an took out his best Tier 3 spirit tea to serve the saintess, Zai Zai. Zai Zai's eyes were clear. She glanced at the spirit tea but did not pick up the cup, as she wore a veil and did not wish for Li Chang'an to see her true face. Li Chang'an, that earth dragon of Liu Xuanfeng's, was it you who killed it? Hearing this, Li Chang'an forced a wry smile. He shook his head. Saintess, I am merely at Foundation establishment. How could I possibly have the ability to kill a Tier 3 demon king? You truly overestimate me. It doesn't matter. If you really did kill it, that is a testament to your ability. I will not pursue the matter. Zai Zai's words made her attitude clear. For a mere loose cultivator like Li Chang'an to contend with a celestial pride from the Purple Mist sect like Liu Xuanfeng for so long was indeed a mark of his skill. Having said her piece, she did not linger. She transformed into a streak of light and departed, leaving only a faint fragrance to slowly dissipate in her wake. Li Chang'an returned to his cave residence and continued to temper his physical body. Before long, he received a piece of news. Liu Xuanfeng had left the southern domain and returned to the Purple Mist sect to prepare for his core formation. Li Chang'an mused, I might gain a saint child as an enemy. However, that's a problem for the future. For now, I just need to focus on planning for my core formation. A few more days passed. A new piece of information was delivered to Chang'an Mountain. Li Chang'an's spirits lifted when he saw the news. Wang Zhao, a golden core cultivator from the Purple Mist sect, has discovered a 1,000-year-old white jade ganoderma within an ancient sect secret realm. This 1,000-year-old white jade ganoderma was the exact top-tier treasure needed for refining the 5 elements golden condensation pill. Its effects were far superior to those of a Tier 3 demon pill. Chapter 521, Chapter 274, Taking the Initiative to Save Mo Qingsu. Li Chang'an had originally planned to use the Tier 3 demon pill to refine the 5 elements golden condensation pill. But now he had a better option. This Wang Zhao, he's the one who attacked Chang'an Mountain, a cultivator with middle-stage golden core cultivation. Li Chang'an stared at the message, lost in thought. He wanted to seize the white jade ganoderma. However, this man won't be easy to deal with. A golden core cultivator from a nascent soul major sect like the Purple Mist sect is considered top-tier among their peers. He might even have the ability to fight those above his cultivation level. I can't rush this. I'll target the people around him first. Li Chang'an transformed into a streak of light, leaving his abode and arriving just outside Chang'an Mountain. He released Dahuang and commanded, memorize the auras of Wang Zhao and his companions. Yes. After advancing to Tier 3, Dahuang's tracking ability was far superior to what it was before. It quickly locked onto the lingering auras that Wang Zhao and his group had left behind on Chang'an Mountain. Afterward, Li Chang'an entered the Black Dragon Mountain range and headed straight for the ancient sect ruins. Upon reaching the ruins, he released Dahuang and ordered it to track Wang Zhao's group. Several days passed. Li Chang'an found one of the golden core cultivators. His name was Pujai, and he was one of the 5 golden core cultivators who had attacked Chang'an Mountain. He seemed quite confident in his own strength, searching for fortuitous encounters within the ruins all by himself. I'll capture him first. Li Chang'an did not act immediately. Not far away, he stealthily laid a trap disguised as a fortuitous encounter. Before long, Pujai sensed a faint fluctuation of spiritual power. A fortuitous encounter. His spirits lifted, and he immediately followed the spiritual power fluctuations in search of their source. Soon, he spotted the trap Li Chang'an had prepared for him. Inside were several Tier 3 top-grade treasures. Joy appeared on Pujai's face, but he remained vigilant and surveyed his surroundings. These treasures are all protected by an array. However, this array has decayed with time. As long as I'm careful, it shouldn't be a problem. He found a fissure in the array and cautiously stepped inside. He slowly approached the treasures, and just as he was about to get his hands on them, disaster struck. Boom! Multiple Tier 3 middle-grade grand arrays erupted into existence, linking together until their combined might faintly approach that of a Tier 3 top-grade array. Caught completely off guard, the pressure from the array forced Pujai to his knees, rendering him immobile. Immediately after, a streak of green light shot into his body, transforming into a wood seed that began to aggressively consume him from within. A moment later, the man was reduced to a puppet. Li Chang'an took his storage pouch and inspected its contents. There weren't many treasures inside. He took only a few useful items and returned the storage pouch. He then interrogated the man, learning the specific strengths of the other 4 golden core cultivators. Aside from Wang Xiao, the other 3 were all at the early stage of golden core and were incapable of fighting above their level. Wang Xiao is a problem. Not only does he have middle-stage golden core cultivation, but he also possesses the means to fight someone at the late stage of golden core. I'll deal with him later. First, I'll capture the other 3. Over the next month, using the same method, a trap disguised as a fortuitous encounter, Li Chang'an captured the other 3 Purple Mist sect golden core cultivators who had attacked Chang'an Mountain one by one. He used the wood seed technique to turn all 3 of them into puppets. With 4 early-stage golden core puppets launching a surprise attack, I should be able to severely injure Wang Xiao. The element of surprise will be on my side. Still, it would be best to lure him into a trap beforehand. That would be more foolproof. Wang Xiao is more experienced and vigilant than the others. I can't be hasty. Li Chang'an mused to himself. He made no move for the next several months. He had his 4 puppets run into Wang Xiao in the ruins from time to time, and Wang Xiao never noticed anything amiss. Just as he felt the time was ripe, a visitor suddenly arrived on Chang'an Mountain. It was Mo Hong, the patriarch of the Mo family. Taoist Mo, this is a sudden visit. Is something wrong? Li Chang'an welcomed Mo Hong into the courtyard and poured him a cup of spirit tea. Mo Hong was in no mood for tea. He asked anxiously, Taoist Li, I'm looking for Elder Jiang. Is she here? Muyu, isn't she with the Mo family? No. Mo Hong shook his head, his voice laced with anxiety. Elder Jiang went out to gain experience not long ago. I thought she might have returned to Chang'an Mountain. She hasn't. Why are you in such a hurry to find her? Li Chang'an was puzzled. Mo Hong replied, Elder Kingsu has been trapped by golden core cultivators from the western domain. I was hoping to ask Elder Jiang to rescue her. His face was filled with anxiety and worry as he began to explain the situation to Li Chang'an. Not long ago, Mo Kingsu left the Mo family and traveled to the Two Realms battlefield. Her purpose wasn't to fight, but to secretly conduct a transaction with golden core cultivators from the western domain. Li Chang'an asked, what kind of transaction? Elder Kingsu intended to purchase a golden scale flower. It's a core formation spiritual object that can increase the success rate of core formation by 5%, and it can be used in conjunction with other core formation treasures. In other words, the effect of the golden scale flower could be stacked with other core formation spiritual objects. Even though it only increased the success rate by 5%, its value was in no way inferior to the golden cloud chi that Li Chang'an possessed. Li Chang'an asked again, why is Elder Mo buying a golden scale flower? He remembered the Mo family having no foundation establishment cultivators ready for core formation. Could it be that another celestial pride has emerged in their family? But Mo Hong's answer took him by surprise. Taoist Li, the reason Elder Kingsu was buying the golden scale flower was to help you prepare for your core formation. For me? Yes, Elder Kingsu said she once promised you that after she reached core formation, she would do her best to help you find a core formation treasure. Have you forgotten, Taoist Li? Li Chang'an was genuinely taken aback. Back then, before Mo Kingsu had reached core formation, she had indeed made him that promise. Chapter 522, Chapter 274, taking the initiative to save Mo Kingsu. But he hadn't taken it seriously at all. After all, Mo Kingsu hadn't sworn a Dao Heart vow. Such promises were always just words and couldn't be taken seriously. But he never expected that Mo Kingsu would risk making a secret deal with Western cultivators just to help him achieve core formation. Li Chang'an immediately asked, why was she trapped by the Western cultivators? Did they go back on their word? That's right. The Western cultivator who made the deal with Elder Kingsu is an early-stage golden core cultivator from Mandarin Duck Valley named Fanzhou. Almost all cultivators from Mandarin Duck Valley in the Western domain practice dual cultivation techniques. When Fanzhou saw Mo Kingsu's stunning beauty and exceptional bearing, a wicked idea took root in his mind. He tore up their agreement and trapped her with an array. Now Mo Kingsu remains trapped within the array. It's a Tier 3 low-grade array. She can hold out for now but can't break the array. If this goes on, her magical power will eventually be completely depleted. That was why she used a communication treasure to have Mo Hong find Jiang Muyu. Mo Hong asked anxiously, Taoist Li, do you really not know where Elder Jiang went? I don't, but her help won't be necessary. Li Chang'an shook his head slightly. Taoist Mo, give me the communication treasure. I have a way to save Elder Mo. All right. Mo Hong didn't hesitate, immediately taking out a jade pendant. Li Chang'an took the jade pendant. Without another word, he transformed into a streak of light, leaving Chang'an Mountain and heading straight for the Two Realms battlefield. Along the way, he began the refinement of the jade pendant and sent a sound transmission through it. Elder Mo, tell me your location. Li Chang'an. The jade pendant grew slightly warm as Mo Kingsu's voice echoed from within. Is Jiang Muyu by your side? She's not. Are you planning to come alone? Elder Mo, the situation is urgent. Just trust me. All right. Mo Kingsu didn't hesitate for long. She knew Li Chang'an had always cherished his own life. If he dared to come to the rescue, he must be confident. Therefore, she directly told him her location. Once he had the location, Li Chang'an's speed surged as he pushed his escape technique to its limits. Before long, Mo Kingsu's voice rang out again. Li Chang'an, that Fanzhou has a Tier 3 early-stage poisonous scorpion that can release a Tier 3 poison. Do you have a way to deal with it? I do, don't worry, Elder Mo. Li Chang'an wasn't concerned. His 10,000 poison goo had already advanced to Tier 3, which was more than enough to handle most Tier 3 poisons. Besides, he was a Tier 3 middle-grade alchemist and could refine a variety of antitoxic pills. His speed unabated, he raced toward the place where Mo Kingsu was trapped. Before he knew it, night had fallen. The divination appeared again. Divination has been refreshed. Today's divination, Auspicious. You rush to the Two Realms battlefield, successfully rescue Mo Kingsu, and slay the Mandarin Duck Valley's golden core master, Fanzhou. In his storage pouch, you obtain the core formation spiritual object, the golden scale flower. An auspicious trigram, not bad. Li Chang'an's mind was completely at ease, and he continued on his way. Several hours later, he finally arrived at the Two Realms battlefield. Though called a battlefield, it was really just a border region between the two domains. It had originally belonged to the southern domain, but the western domain's army had since fought its way here. Mo Kingsu was trapped in an ancient cave mansion deep within this battlefield. Before long, Li Chang'an approached the ancient cave mansion. He activated the refining shadow invisible technique, and his figure and aura vanished instantly as he stealthily approached the ancient cave mansion. However, a Tier 3 grand array stood outside the cave mansion. It was only Tier 3 low grade. Li Chang'an could break it with ease. But the moment he did, Fanzhou, who controlled the array, would surely notice. A sneak attack won't work. I'll have to force my way in. After observing for a moment, Li Chang'an forced his way in, shattering the array in an instant. His speed undiminished, he headed straight for where Mo Kingsu was trapped. At the same time, an angry voice echoed from the depths of the cave mansion. Who broke my array? Li Chang'an didn't answer. He transformed into a streak of light, arriving in the depths of the cave mansion in an instant. Before him was another Tier 3 grand array. At this moment, Mo Kingsu was trapped inside the array. She was in terrible condition. Her face was pale, her lips were a purplish-blue color, she was clearly poisoned. Furthermore, her aura was extremely faint, and her magical power was feeble. She seemed to be on her last legs, struggling to hold on inside the array and constantly fending off waves of array power. Outside the array stood a corpulent man. It was none other than the Golden Core Master from Mandarin Duck Valley, Fan Zhou. His face was a mask of fury as he bellowed, "Are you a southern domain cultivator?" Chang'an ignored him again, flashing into the array to appear at Mo Qingsu's side. The moment she saw him, Mo Qingsu's perpetually tense body finally relaxed a little. "Chang'an, give me a few recovery elixir pills." "All right." Chang'an tossed her a storage pouch directly. It contained all sorts of elixir pills, allowing Mo Qingsu to choose for herself. He then turned his attention to the array trapping Mo Qingsu. This array was more profound than the one outside the cave mansion, but it was still just a Tier 3 low-grade array. The various array patterns, which seemed impossibly complex, were nothing special in Chang'an's eyes. Meanwhile, Fan Zhou, outside the array, was also observing him. When he saw that Chang'an only had the aura of a Foundation Establishment Peak cultivator, he let out a cold laugh. "I thought some great expert had arrived, but it's just a Foundation Establishment cultivator. No wonder I've never seen you before. A mere Foundation Establishment cultivator wants to play the hero saving the damsel in distress. Aren't you afraid of losing your life in the process?" The moment his voice fell, the aura of his early stage of Golden Core cultivation suddenly erupted. He suspected Chang'an possessed a Tier 3 array-breaking treasure. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to break the array outside the cave mansion so quickly. Thus, he decided to attack personally. He would use his Golden Core magical power to forcibly suppress Chang'an. Inside the array, Mo Qingsu's expression turned grave as she struggled to gather her magical power. Chapter 523, Chapter 274, Taking the Initiative to Save Mo Qingsu. This guy is not easy to deal with. His Tier 3 scorpion demon is lurking in the shadows. I'll hold him off while you find a chance to break the array. There's no need. Elder Mo, just focus on healing, I'm enough. Hearing this, Mo Qingsu was stunned for a moment. She gave Chang'an a deep look, but said nothing more. She immediately sat down cross-legged and began circulating her energy to heal. Outside the array, Fan Zhou sneered, "What arrogance, you think you can?" Before he could finish, he saw Chang'an give a casual wave of his hand. Boom! The entire array collapsed in an instant. Immediately after, he raised his hand and unleashed a cyan-wood divine light. Go! A flash of cyan light filled the cave mansion, and in the next instant, the cyan-wood divine light slammed into Fan Zhou. With a series of rumbles, all of Fan Zhou's protective treasures shattered. His expression changed drastically. Before he could even react, a second cyan-wood divine light struck him. Boom! Fan Zhou spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying backward, crashing heavily against the stone wall. Several more cyan-wood divine lights followed. He didn't even have time to beg for mercy before he was blasted into a bloody mist on the spot. The Tier 3 scorpion demon hiding in the shadows had intended to ambush Chang'an, but Fan Zhou died too quickly. Bound by the master-servant spirit contract, it let out a wretched cry and its life force dissipated. The battle was over. From start to finish, it hadn't even taken 5 breaths' time. Mo Qingsu stared blankly at the scene, having completely forgotten to heal herself. Her heart was in turmoil. She had originally thought that Chang'an possessed some kind of treasure that could grant him the temporary power to kill a Golden Core Master. But she never imagined that Chang'an hadn't used any treasures at all. He had killed Fan Zhou, a cultivator of a higher realm, purely with his own magic. Although Fan Zhou was only in the early stage of Golden Core, he possessed a Tier 3 array skill and a Tier 3 spirit beast. He had made a great name for himself on the Two Realms battlefield over the years, and even middle-stage Golden Core cultivators were wary of him. And yet, a figure like that had been utterly powerless against Chang'an. Chang'an, you've already reached core formation. I'd like to, but the time isn't right. Chang'an gestured with his hand, taking Fan Zhou's storage pouch. He then cast a few talismans, burning the bloody mist to ashes. He also collected the corpse of the Tier 3 scorpion demon into his storage pouch. He didn't let the materials from the 2 arrays go to waste, either. After doing all this, he turned and said, "Elder Mo, this is the Two Realms battlefield. It's not a suitable place for healing. let's leave first." "All right." Mo Kingsu took a deep breath, suppressing the shock in her heart. Though she had countless questions, she also knew this was not a good place to talk. The two of them immediately transformed into two streaks of light, leaving the ancient cave mansion and heading straight for Chang'an Mountain. En route, Chang'an noticed that Mo Kingsu's aura hadn't recovered. On the contrary, it was steadily declining, growing weaker and weaker until it was almost imperceptible. He immediately asked, "Elder Mo, how are your injuries?" Mo Kingsu's face was pale. She shook her head gently, her voice weak. "It's nothing, just some lingering poison. Once we get back, Before she could finish, she suddenly collapsed, unable to maintain her flight, and plummeted toward the ground below. Chang'an's eyes and hands were quick. He immediately caught her, holding her in his arms. At this moment, Mo Kingsu's body was cold and rigid. He felt as if he were holding a block of ice. He immediately flew downward and unleashed his magical power, carving a cave mansion into the side of a cliff. Strange, could the antitoxic pill be useless? Chang'an gently laid Mo Kingsu down. He sent a wisp of his magical power to travel through Mo Kingsu's body and quickly discovered the source of the problem. Several of the scorpion demon's poison needles were lodged deep in her chest, firmly embedded in her flesh, and continuously releasing a Tier 3 poison. "Elder Mo, if these poison needles aren't removed, the poison accumulating in your body will increase. You will soon die from it." "I know." Mo Kingsu's aura was faint. She let out a soft sigh. She had planned to find a way to remove the poison needles after returning, but it was clearly too late for that now. Right now, her body was numb and rigid. How could she possibly have the strength to remove the poison needles herself? She could only rely on Chang'an. But the location of those poison needles was rather awkward. Chang'an said calmly, "Elder Mo, to save your life, I'm afraid I must be impertinent." Hearing this, Mo Kingsu's entire body trembled. She squeezed her eyes shut. "It is just a physical shell. You do what you must." "Very well." Chang'an immediately reached out and slowly removed Mo Kingsu's clothes and armor. His expression remained unchanged. With the gaze of a perfect gentleman, he examined the wounds on her chest, observing them carefully for a long time. After a good while, he used his Tier 3 spirit doctor skills to slowly remove the poison needles. During the process, some contact was unavoidable, causing a faint blush to appear on Mo Kingsu's pale, weak cheeks. Afterward, Chang'an dressed her in her clothes and armor again, and took out a few corresponding Tier 3 detoxification pills. He dissolved the antitoxic elixir's potency and guided it with his magical power, slowly expelling the demon poison from Mo Kingsu's body. During this process, Mo Kingsu could clearly feel a warm power flowing through her body, dispelling the deathly cold. About a quarter of an hour later, all the demon poison had been expelled. Her body was no longer rigid and cold. Her magical power was merely depleted, and she would need a long period of rest to recover after returning. "There, Elder Mo, your injuries are no longer serious." Chang'an retracted his magical power and swallowed a few elixir pills to recover his own. Mo Kingsu slowly sat up, straightened her clothes and armor, and looked at Chang'an, the emotions in her beautiful eyes especially complex. "Chang'an, I never thought you were not only a Tier 3 alchemist, but also a Tier 3 array master and a Tier 3 spirit doctor. Just how much more are you hiding?" "Not much, just a little bit left to hide." "You're lying to me again." Chang'an was left speechless and could only look at Mo Kingsu quietly. Their eyes met, and they stared at each other for a long time. In the silence, the atmosphere within the cave mansion subtly began to change. Chapter 524, Chapter 275, Blood-dripping demon transformation, blood and fire overlapping. Inside the cavern, the atmosphere grew increasingly strange, as if some peculiar feeling was stirring. After the two of them stared at each other for a long while, a rare flicker of agitation flashed through Mo Kingsu's usually icy eyes. Her face flushed red as she deliberately avoided Chang'an's gaze. Lowering her head slightly, she subconsciously tightened her grip on the edge of her armor. Chang'an cleared his throat, breaking the strange atmosphere in the cavern. "Elder Mo, we should head back. This is just the wilderness, not a good place for your healing." "All right." Mo Kingsu nodded lightly and stood up, looking at Chang'an with a complicated expression. She suppressed the unusual feeling in her heart, forcing herself to calm down before letting out a soft sigh. "Chang'an, When will we be able to be honest with each other? We can talk about that later. Right now, Li Chang'an only wanted to reach core formation as soon as possible. He wasn't willing to waste too much energy on other matters for the time being. Mo Qingsu could see what he was thinking, so she didn't press the issue. Fine, I'll wait for you to reach core formation. Li Chang'an currently had a peak foundation establishment cultivation. If all went according to plan, he would reach core formation within the next few years. Once he successfully formed his core, they would both be golden core cultivators. Their statuses would be equal, making it easier to discuss things in greater depth. Then the two transformed into streaks of light and returned to Chang'an Mountain. En route, Li Chang'an took out Fan Zhou's storage pouch. He erased the restriction Fan Zhou had placed on it before his death, opened the storage pouch, and inspected the treasures inside. He really did have the golden scale flower. With a flash of spiritual light in his hand, a precious flower appeared. The flower was entirely golden and brilliantly radiant, as if cast from pure gold. Its petals were covered in patterns resembling dragon scales, which was how it had gotten the name Golden Scale. Combining the golden scale flower and the golden cloud chi, these two core formation spiritual objects would grant a 25% chance of success. Factoring in Li Chang'an's own base success rate, his total chance would be 75%. If he could refine a high-quality 5 elements golden condensation pill, he could add another 25% to his success rate. Added together, that's a 100% chance. A thought struck Li Chang'an. If everything went according to his plan, his core formation process would be completely free of mishaps. The key was that he couldn't make any mistakes when dealing with Wang Xiao. If that step went wrong, not only would Li Chang'an fail to achieve a perfect 100% success rate, but he might also end up being targeted by the Purple Mist sect. My current preparations still aren't enough to guarantee success against Wang Xiao. It would be best to get the evil soul to Tier 3 middle stage and create a few more Tier 3 middle grade puppets. After years of continuous purchases, the number of souls in his soul banner was already approaching 1 million. It was about to meet the artifact spirit's requirements. However, the venerable soul banner itself was still only a Tier 3 low-grade treasure, making it difficult to restrain a Tier 3 middle-stage evil soul. Li Chang'an secretly communicated with the artifact spirit and confirmed which treasures were needed for it to advance to Tier 3 middle grade. Several hours later, the pair returned to Chang'an Mountain. Mo Hong, who had been waiting on Chang'an Mountain, finally breathed a sigh of relief. Elder Qingsu, are you all right? I'm fine. Mo Qingsu had reverted to her usual cold demeanor. She didn't stay on Chang'an Mountain for long, leaving with Mo Hong that very day. Before she departed, she left him with a single sentence. Li Chang'an, I'll wait for you to reach core formation. With that, she transformed into a streak of light and vanished over the distant horizon. In the days that followed, Li Chang'an frequented various black markets, purchasing souls to fill his venerable soul banner. In addition, he frequently dispatched Yi Mengxian and his other golden core puppets. They would infiltrate the treasure vaults of various golden core influences to procure the treasures the venerable soul banner needed to consume for its advancement to Tier 3 middle grade, as well as the materials he required to build more Tier 3 middle grade puppets. Because he needed so many treasures, he had to avoid attracting attention. He dispatched his golden core puppets to secretly hunt down several golden core cultivators from the western domain. He used the treasures from their storage pouches that were of no use to him to replenish the treasure vaults of the 10,000 Swords sect and the other golden core influences he had pilfered from. As a result, the number of treasures in their vaults didn't decrease by much. After all this maneuvering, he had obtained nearly all the treasures he needed. However, he was still missing one demonic treasure called Blood Demon Gold. The treasure vaults of the 10,000 Swords sect and other righteous influences didn't have it. Li Chang'an made some inquiries and learned that the Yin Soul sect's treasure vault contained such a treasure, but only a golden core demon was qualified to trade for it. Left with no other choice, he had to use his He Qianxian puppet to secretly contact the Yin Soul sect and express his desire to purchase the Blood Demon Gold. The one who met with him was Pang Xuan, the vice-sect leader of the Yin Soul sect. He, He Qianxian. To think that you, the great disciple of Huang He Master, a supposedly noble figure of the righteous Tao, would secretly contact a demon like me. He let out a few more strange laughs. his voice as hoarse as a crow's caw, sending a chill down one's spine. Li Chang'an's expression remained unchanged as he sat across from him. Pang Xuan, I want to buy some blood demon gold. Name your price. That can be arranged. Pang Xuan stared at him intently and named a price. 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones. Done. Li Chang'an didn't care about the price. He just wanted to get his hands on the treasure as quickly as possible. But Pang Xuan informed him, the blood demon gold in the Yin Soul sect's treasure vault has already been used by our sect leader for refining a magical treasure. Give me half a month. I'll need to hurry back to the Nether Soul sect and retrieve a portion for you from their treasure vault. Half a month, fine. Li Chang'an agreed without hesitation. Soon, the two signed a contract, agreeing to meet at a secret location in half a month's time. During that half-month period, Li Chang'an continued to use his many false identities to acquire souls from various channels, finally gathering the 1 million he needed. Furthermore, using the materials he had already acquired, he successfully created 3 Tier 3 middle-grade puppets. Time flew by, and before he knew it, the day of the trade for the blood demon gold had arrived. Chapter 525, Chapter 275, Blood-dripping demon transformation, blood and fire overlapping. That night, inside the cave residence on Chang'an Mountain, Li Chang'an was watching the evil soul discipline, a few souls that were vying with it to become the main soul. Just after midnight, a golden light appeared before his eyes as usual. Divination has been refreshed. Today's divination, Auspicious. As agreed, you control the puppet Xianxia and hurry to the trading location, planning to trade for blood demon gold with Pang Xuan. However, he and Kang have set a trap at the location, attempting to capture Xianxia alive and refine him into a blood seed puppet. You make a move, kill them both, and obtain the blood demon gold. Kang. Li Chang'an's eyes lit up. These past few days, more and more cultivators who were blood seed puppets had been appearing at the foot of Chang'an Mountain. Evidently, Kang was preparing to make a move against him. He had also been waiting for an opportunity to deal with Kang. He hadn't expected an opportunity to present itself so quickly. This Xianxia is really unlucky. First, he was refined into a wood seed puppet by me, and now his own junior brother Kang has set his sights on him. The corners of Li Chang'an's mouth turned up slightly. Since it's an auspicious trigram, as long as I'm careful, nothing should go wrong in this battle. The next day, as agreed, Li Chang'an controlled Xianxia and went to the trading location. He could tell at a glance that several Tier 3 low-grade arrays were hidden around the trading location. But his expression remained normal, as if he hadn't noticed a thing. He transformed into a streak of light and entered the grand array. Pang Xuan was waiting inside the array. As soon as he saw Xianxia, he let out a strange laugh. Jai, Taoist, he is indeed a man of his word. Enough nonsense. Did you bring the blood demon gold? Of course I did. A bloody light flashed in Pang Xuan's hand, revealing a fist-sized dark red treasure. It was the blood demon gold. A bag of spirit stones appeared in his hand and he said, "Good, let's trade now." No hurry. Pang Xuan smiled strangely and put the blood demon gold away. Seeing this, Xianxia's face darkened as he asked, "Taoist Pang, are you going back on your word?" "Taoist, you misunderstand. I just want you to meet someone first." As soon as the words fell, a figure in a blood robe appeared beside Pang Xuan. This person had a sallow, sickly complexion, as if he had just recovered from a major illness. It was Kang. Upon seeing him, Li Chang'an cooperatively had Xianxia show a look of astonishment. 13th Junior Brother. It is I. Kang replied with a smile. First Senior Brother, it's been a long time. Junior Brother, why are you associating with people from the demon sect? I thought you had died at the hands of the Huang Alliance's cultivators. First Senior Brother, it's a long story. I'll tell you all about it after you become my blood seed puppet. A blood seed puppet. A look of shock appeared on Xianxia's face. He pointed at Kang and asked in disbelief, "Little Junior Brother, you've actually cultivated the demon planting technique." "That's right." Kang nodded slightly and said with a smile, "First Senior Brother, I intend to deal with Li Chang'an of Chang'an Mountain, but I don't have enough power on my own, so I have no choice but to ask for your help." Hearing this, Li Chang'an, who was hidden, finally understood. This guy wanted to refine Xianxia into a blood seed puppet just to deal with him. Could it be that he doesn't know I have a divine soul technique? Chang'an mused to himself. In the face of my divine soul technique, any number of puppets would be useless. Unless Kang has already become a golden core master and possesses golden core divine sense, making him unafraid of my foundation establishment divine sense. Thinking of this, Chang'an immediately had Xianxia say, "Junior brother with your meager cultivation, you're still no match for your senior brother." Heh heh, senior brother, do you really think I'm still just a foundation establishment cultivator? Kang chuckled, and his aura suddenly erupted. It was the aura of the early stage of Golden Core. It was just as Chang'an had guessed. Golden Core divine sense far surpassed foundation establishment divine sense. Even with just a small fraction of Golden Core divine sense within the blood seed, it would be enough to resist a foundation establishment cultivator's divine sense technique. Kang smiled and said, "First senior brother, rest assured. From now on, you will still be the first senior brother of Yellow Crane Mountain. In the eyes of outsiders, nothing will have changed." With that, 2 streaks of spiritual light flew out from his storage pouch and transformed into 2 golden core masters. One of them was a southern domain cultivator, and the other was a western cultivator. They had gone missing many years ago and had evidently both become his blood seed puppets. He turned to Pang Xuan and said, "Sect leader Pang, my first senior brother's strength is not to be underestimated. He has killed cultivators of the same tier on the 2 domains battlefield. We must not be careless in this fight. All right, after this is done, give me a copy of the demon planting technique." "No problem." Kang agreed readily with a smile, but an imperceptible glint of killing intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. Pang Xuan waved his hand, and a venerable soul banner, emanating a sinister yin energy, appeared in his grasp. A main soul whose strength had reached the Tier 3 middle stage flew out from the soul banner amidst roiling black fog, staring ferociously at Xianxia. Immediately after, a streak of spiritual light flew out from Pang Xuan's storage pouch, landed to the side, and transformed into a giant skeleton. This giant skeleton was called the White Bone Demon God. It was created by the Yin Soul sect using special artifact refining techniques refined from countless skeletons, and its strength had also reached the Tier 3 middle stage. Pang Xuan himself, along with the main soul and this White Bone Demon God, represented the combat power of 3 middle stage of Golden Core experts. Meanwhile, Kang and his 2 Golden Core puppets represented the combat power of 3 early stage of Golden Core experts. Adding the several Tier 3 arrays in this location, it was truly a heaven and earth net. If it were Xianxia himself, he would have no chance of escape. "First senior brother, my apologies." Kang's expression turned cold as he commanded his 2 puppets to attack Xianxia. Pang Xuan was also about to make his move. But at that very moment, a sudden sense of alarm gripped his heart. The hair on his body stood on end, and he instantly transformed into an afterimage, retreating into the distance. Chapter 526, Chapter 275, Blood-dripping demon transformation, blood and fire overlapping. The very next moment, a sword array descended from the sky, slamming into the spot where he had just been standing. The array's power was immense, seemingly surpassing the Golden Core limit. "Which senior are you?" Pang Xuan broke out in a cold sweat, hastily deploying countless protective treasures, but he still felt no sense of security. If I'd been a step slower just now, I would have been blasted to smithereens. He looked up at the sky. Sword chi swirled in Chang'an's hands, once again coalescing into a sword array. In his current state, if he used Tier 3 low-grade sword chi, he could control the 63 swords array, whose power was sufficient to obliterate a late Golden Core stage cultivator. If he were to use Tier 3 middle-grade sword chi, the number of swords he could control would be significantly reduced, but the array's power wouldn't diminish. In fact, it would be even greater. "Go!" The sword array transformed into a brilliant beam of sword light, streaking across the sky toward Pang Xuan. Pang Xuan dodged again, but only by a hair's breadth. Terrified, he asked, "Senior, how have I offended you?" Just then Kang shouted, "He's no senior, he's Chang'an of Chang'an Mountain." "What?" Pang Xuan was stunned, in utter disbelief. "Didn't you say that Chang'an was just a foundation establishment cultivator?" "That's right, but I also told you he's very difficult to deal with. Kang's eyes were bloodshot. He stared intently at Li Chang'an, a hint of dread surfacing in his gaze. He had intended to prepare thoroughly before confronting Li Chang'an. But this battle had come far sooner than he'd anticipated. Li Chang'an, why are you working with my senior brother? No, senior brother has become your puppet. You clearly cultivated the demon planting technique, so why can't I sense it? Kang couldn't understand. There was a problem with the demon planting technique he had left for Li Chang'an. The moment Li Chang'an started cultivating it, he should have been able to sense him. But now he couldn't sense a thing. If he hadn't cultivated the demon planting technique, then how on earth was Li Chang'an controlling Xianxia? Li Chang'an's expression was indifferent as he said, I don't need to cultivate the demon planting technique to use a mere blood seed technique. Impossible. Can your comprehension rival that of Mo Qingquang from 10,000 years ago? Kang clenched his fists tightly, the dread in his eyes deepening. Li Chang'an didn't answer. He simply raised a hand and unleashed a beam of firewood divine light. Kang's expression changed drastically. With no time to dodge, he forcibly blocked the attack with numerous protective items. Boom! The treasures surrounding him shattered in unison, turning to dust that scattered into the air. He was blasted backward, landing beside Pang Xuan. Sect leader Pang, this Li Chang'an is too much for us. Use the array to stall him while we get out of here. We can find another opportunity to deal with him later. All right. Still terrified, Pang Xuan had no desire whatsoever to face Li Chang'an directly. He immediately channeled the power of the Tier 3 array, attempting to trap Li Chang'an for a moment. However, with a casual wave of his hand, several Tier 3 arrays instantly collapsed. This is bad. Pang Xuan's expression changed drastically. He's also a Tier 3 array master. Let's split up. The moment the words left his mouth, he abandoned Kang, shielded himself with his main soul and the white-bone demon god, and fled as a streak of light. But he hadn't gotten far before his path was blocked by 3 puppets. Tier 3 middle-grade puppets. Pang Xuan was aghast, refusing to believe his eyes. He couldn't understand how a mere foundation establishment cultivator could be so powerful. Meanwhile, Kang, who was about to flee, was also intercepted. 2 Tier 3 low-grade puppets blocked his 2 blood seed puppets, leaving him to face Li Chang'an alone. Li Chang'an, do you really insist on fighting to the bitter end? Kang's expression was grim. Blood-red magical power surged around him as he threatened Li Chang'an. Li Chang'an remained silent as a new sword array materialized in his hands. Sensing the terrifying aura of the sword array, Kang's blood ran cold. Not daring to face it head-on, he transformed into a blood shadow and fled in another direction. But he hadn't fled far before he slammed into an invisible wall. Bam! Reeling from the impact, Kang scrambled to change direction and flee another way. But once again, an invisible wall blocked his path. He was already trapped within the netherworld evil domain. A bird in a cage. The next moment, the dazzling sword array struck, instantly blasting him into a cloud of blood mist. However, he wasn't dead. He reappeared a short distance away, his face several shades paler. Li Chang'an had expected this. The blood seed technique contained a substitute death technique. Kang's clone had known it as well. Let's see how many times you can survive. With a single thought, the sword array reappeared and shot toward Kang. Just then, Kang suddenly scattered more than a dozen drops of blood. The dozen or so drops of blood writhed and expanded, and in an instant, they had transformed into more than 10 blood figures, each taking on Kang's appearance. Suddenly, more than a dozen Kangs filled the netherworld evil domain, and their auras and magical power fluctuations were identical to the real one. One of them intercepted the sword array on behalf of the real Kang, exploding into a drop of blood. Then the dozen or so Kangs shifted positions, making it impossible to tell the real one from the fakes. Oh, a new trick! A flicker of interest appeared on Li Chang'an's face. He knew that the clone from before hadn't obtained all the magic of the demon planting technique. The clone, for instance, didn't know this blood-dripping incarnation magic. This magic and I are fated to be. With a single thought, Li Chang'an materialized over a dozen smaller sword arrays, which shot toward the Kangs in unison. An instant later, the dozen or so Kangs exploded one after another, leaving only the real one alive. The blood-dripping incarnation technique was profound, but with him already trapped, creating more incarnations was useless. Kang clearly understood this as well. A vicious glint flashed across his face as he snarled, "Li Chang'an, you won't be killing me today." As he spoke, his body erupted in blood-red flames. His aura skyrocketed, and his full head of blood-red hair instantly turned ash-white. Clearly, he had used a technique that burned his lifespan. Blood and fire overlapping. Kang roared, and in an instant, his aura surged from the early stage of golden core to the middle stage, rapidly approaching the late stage of golden core. Bloodlight gathered in his hands, and he launched a ferocious strike at the netherworld evil domain. Rumble! The netherworld evil domain abruptly shattered. Seizing the opportunity, Kang charged out and created over a dozen blood-dripping clones to throw off Li Chang'an's judgment. Chapter 527, Chapter 276, Murong's Death Capturing Wang Zhao. This was the first time the netherworld evil domain had been shattered by force. As a result, the evil soul's aura weakened slightly. With a grim look on his face, the evil soul pointed from afar, once again condensing the netherworld evil domain to trap the few fleeing Kangs. But a few of the Kangs still managed to escape. However, before they could get far, the firewood divine light caught up and shattered them one by one. "It's not any of them." Li Chang'an looked towards the netherworld evil domain. The real Kang, as luck would have it, was once again trapped inside the netherworld evil domain. His face was savage, his eyes bloodshot. A fire of blood blazed across his body as he once again gathered an astonishing power and shattered the netherworld evil domain. In that very instant, a sword array slammed into him. Boom! Kang exploded again, turning into a cloud of blood mist. His other clones were also destroyed by Li Chang'an's firewood divine light. But when he reappeared, his face was ashen. His aura had plummeted, and a hint of despair crept into his eyes. In order to break the two netherworld evil domains, he had burned almost all his lifespan, but still failed to escape. "If this goes on," he thought, "I'm certain to die here today." At this thought, a ruthless expression crossed Kang's face. Spiritual light flashed in his hand, revealing a jade scroll. He gripped it tightly and roared, "Li Chang'an, if you dare to kill me, I'll destroy this great demon technique. You'll never get your hands on it." "What would I want the demon planting technique for?" Li Chang'an's expression was calm, unfazed by the threat. "Kang, I've gotten this far on my own fortunes. I couldn't care less about your so-called demon planting technique." "You?" Kang's expression froze. He found this impossible to accept. "The demon planting technique I treasure so dearly. In Li Chang'an's mouth, it's no different from trash on the street." He knew that for someone like Li Chang'an, with the meager talent of a low-grade spirit root, to have come this far, he must have stumbled upon a fortune far greater than the demon planting technique. So Li Chang'an, most likely genuinely, didn't care about the demon planting technique. Just then, another brilliant sword array flew out and slammed into him in an instant. Boom! Kang exploded once more, and the jade scroll in his hand fell from the air. With a beckoning gesture, Li Chang'an drew the jade scroll into his hand. This great demon technique is, after all, a magic gate that bypasses the need for a good spiritual root. It's worth a look. Best to get my hands on it if I can. A moment later, Kang reappeared, his aura plummeting yet again. The despair on his face deepened. A fire of blood ignited across his body once more as he tried to burn what little lifespan he had left, seeking a sliver of a chance to escape. But before he could escape, another sword array attacked. After a few more sword arrays, Kang's body completely exploded into a cloud of blood mist, never to reappear again. "Soul comes." Li Chang'an raised his hand and beckoned. Kang's soul, its face filled with terror, appeared beside the cloud of blood mist. The soul clearly sensed the aura of the reincarnation path and was about to enter it, but it flew uncontrollably toward Li Chang'an's venerable soul banner. "No!" Desperate and resentful, it roared before being pulled into the soul banner. "Li Chang'an, you'll come to a bad end." The moment it finished roaring, it was sucked into the soul banner. The evil soul couldn't wait. It eagerly entered the soul banner and began to torture Kang's soul. "Heh heh heh, you've got some skills, kid. Shattering my netherworld evil domain twice. Looks like I'll have to teach you a proper lesson." Not long after, Kang's miserable wails echoed from within the soul banner. Chang'an didn't intervene, letting the evil soul have its fun. He turned his attention to the two golden core puppets that had been under Kang's control. Though Kang was dead, the blood seed within the puppets' bodies still contained a wisp of his divine sense. Golden Soul Sword. Chang'an activated a divine sense technique, forming two small golden swords that annihilated the lingering wisp of divine sense. At the same time, his puppet body back on Chang'an Mountain sprang into action, slaughtering every last blood seed puppet at the base of the mountain. It's a pity I can't expel the blood seed. Otherwise, I could have refined these two golden core cultivators into my own puppets. Chang'an raised his hand and sent out a sword chi, slicing open the body of one of the golden core cultivators. One could see that within its flesh and bone, there were countless, dense bloodlines. With Kang's divine sense destroyed, the blood seed had lost control and was now frantically devouring all the puppet's remaining life force. In the end, it would probably turn into a flesh and blood monster. Chang'an didn't let it grow. He threw out dozens of talismans, incinerating the bodies of the two golden core cultivators to ash. He then flickered, appearing before Pang Xuan in an instant. At this moment, Pang Xuan was desperately fending off three puppets. Seeing Chang'an arrive, his eyelids twitched, and he managed to force a smile. Chang'an, no, Taoist Li, Elder Li, I never intended to move against you. I was only invited by Kang to help him deal with his senior martial brother. Chang'an remained silent, simply raising his hand to unleash a sword array. Before long, Pang Xuan was also blown to pieces, dissolving into a shower of blood in midair. The Yin Soul sect was a subsect of a nascent soul demon sect, so Chang'an had no intention of refining him into a puppet. Killing him was the most straightforward solution. With a flicker of his body, he collected the array materials from the area and erased all traces of the battle, including any lingering auras. After finishing all this, Chang'an transformed into a streak of light and returned to Chang'an Mountain. This battle went more or less as I expected. It looked easy, but the cost was significant. The puppets I deployed all suffered varying degrees of damage. I'll have to repair them properly when I get back. Besides, Kang's strength was truly considerable to be able to shatter the netherworld evil domain twice in a row. Chapter 528, Chapter 276, Kang's death capturing Wang Zhao. This had never happened before. Good thing my divination gave me a warning, so I made my move early. If he'd had time to fully prepare, things would have been much more difficult. Before long, Chang'an returned to Chang'an Mountain. He entered his cave residence, sealed the main entrance, and activated the small array inside to cut himself off from the outside world. After that, he began to take stock of his spoils. He opened Pang Xuan's storage pouch, probed it for a moment with his spiritual sense, and quickly found what he was looking for. Blood Demon Gold. Chang'an took it out and tossed it to the venerable soul banner to devour. After about a quarter of an hour, the venerable soul banner's tier rose, reaching tier 3 middle grade. With a thought from Chang'an, the millions of sub-souls within the soul banner gathered their soul power and channeled it all into the evil soul. In an instant, the evil soul's aura broke through to tier 3 middle stage, making it a match for a middle stage golden core cultivator. Chang'an asked it, "Have you learned any new magic?" "No, but the netherworld evil domain has gotten stronger. A middle stage golden core cultivator would have a hard time breaking it, and even someone at the late stage of golden core would be trapped for a moment." That's good. That specific magic was what Chang'an valued most about the evil soul. Any other soul, even after advancing to tier 3, wouldn't have developed a special magic like this. This was precisely why the evil soul had always served as the main soul. Chang'an took out Pang Xuan's venerable soul banner and tossed it to his own, letting it devour that one as well. Within that banner were a full 1,500,000 souls, all of which were transferred over. At this point, Chang'an's soul banner contained a total of 2,500,000 souls. He asked the artifact spirit, how many more souls are needed for the evil soul to match a late golden core stage cultivator? The artifact spirit explained. Although the newly added 1,500,000 souls were numerous, their quality was quite low, dragging down the overall quality of all the souls in the venerable soul banner. Based on their current average quality, It would take about 5 million souls for the evil soul to match a cultivator at the late stage of golden core. In other words, he still needed another 2,500,000. That's not too many. I should be able to gather enough if I just kill a few more golden core members from the Yin Soul sect who use venerable soul banners. However, with the recent deaths of Pang Chuan and Murong Kang, the second saint child, there's bound to be a major shakeup within the Yin Soul sect. Someone from the nascent Soul Demon sect might even come to investigate. I can't rush this. Li Chang'an was very patient and in no hurry. The evil soul's current strength was already sufficient for his needs. He would figure out a way to get more souls after he reached core formation. Next, he took out the white bone demon god and refined it again, making the treasure completely his own. Besides this tier 3 white bone demon god, Pang Chuan's storage pouch also contained numerous tier 2 white bone demon gods, products of corpse refinement, and a large quantity of demonic materials. These are all useless to me. I can trade them for more souls. He wouldn't have any trouble finding buyers for these items. Demonic cultivators would be falling over themselves to get them. After all, life within the demon sects was far more brutal than in the righteous sects. About an hour later, Li Chang'an finished taking stock of all the treasures. He took out the Jade scroll and carefully examined its contents. So the demon planting technique I obtained from Liang Yu's memories back then really was flawed. The demon planting technique within the Jade scroll was far more complete than the version Li Chang'an had previously acquired. After a quick comparison, Li Chang'an understood. If he had cultivated the version of the demon planting technique he'd first obtained, he would have ended up turning himself into one of Murong Kang's clones. However, this version of the demon planting technique might not be complete either. Could some higher-level entity have put this out as bait? Li Chang'an frowned, deep in thought. This cultivation technique was simply too bizarre and suspicious. He couldn't risk cultivating it. He was afraid that if he cultivated it to the end, he would become the puppet or clone of some nascent soul old demon. He took out the venerable soul banner, released Murong Kang's soul, and demanded to know where he had obtained this cultivation technique. But Murong Kang remained defiant, refusing to say a word. Li Chang'an had no patience for his games and tossed him directly to the evil soul. Evil soul, get back to work. Break this guy and make him talk. You got it. A vicious grin spread across the evil soul's face, as it immediately dragged Murong Kang into a small, dark interrogation room it had specially created. Li Chang'an then continued to examine the rest of the Jade Scroll's contents. After the cultivation technique, there were several sections on magic. It included the blood seed technique, substitute death technique, clone technique, and blood and flesh regeneration technique, all of which he had previously seen in Liang Yu's memories. In addition, there were 4 new entries. They were blood-dripping demon transformation, blood and fire overlapping, blood demon body refinement, and 3-body core formation technique. Li Chang'an had already seen Murong Kang use the first 2 types of magic. Blood-dripping demon transformation could create a clone from a single drop of blood. According to the description in the Jade Scroll, this clone only shared the user's exact aura. Its actual strength was far inferior. It was a life-saving technique, meant to confuse enemies during an escape. As for blood and fire overlapping, it was considered a top-tier life-burning technique, among the best of its kind. After reading its description, Li Chang'an grew thoughtful. No wonder Murong Kang was able to unleash such power at the end. This magic truly is remarkable. He had seen several people use life-burning techniques, such as Mu Qiuyan and Jiang Yunsheng, but none of their methods could compare to blood and fire overlapping. If it had been anyone else today, Murong Kang might have actually escaped. Li Chang'an continued reading the Jade Scroll. This blood demon body refinement is a body refining technique that can be cultivated up to tier 3 peak, just like the demon dragon body refining technique I obtained. But Murong Kang obviously hadn't reached tier 3 with it, most likely due to a lack of resources. The resources needed for body refinement were astronomical. The only reason Wanxing had been able to reach tier 3 was because he had the entire Cyan Cloud sect supplying him with resources. The only reason Li Chang'an had come this far on the path of body refining was by relying on his divination to find overlooked treasures. Chapter 529, Chapter 276, The Death of Murong Capturing Wang Zaya. He quickly skimmed the body refining technique. his gaze landing on the final magic technique. Three-body core formation technique. Li Chang'an read it carefully, his expression focused. This three-body core formation technique was a core formation secret technique that Mo Qingquang had created himself. Cultivating this technique required one to cut themselves twice, slicing off 2 pieces of their own flesh. Then, they had to separately nurture the essence, qi, and spirit within those 2 pieces. During core formation, devouring these 2 pieces of flesh would cause one's own essence, qi, and spirit to skyrocket, thus increasing the chances of success. According to the description, it could increase the success rate by at least 20%. After finishing, Li Chang'an couldn't help but be secretly impressed. Mo Qingquang from 10,000 years ago was truly a heaven-sent genius. Just how profound was his comprehension to have created such astonishing cultivation techniques and magic? With such heaven-defying comprehension, the shackles of one's spiritual root were nothing. If I had such comprehension, I'm afraid I would have reached core formation long ago. Next, he took out the three-eyed Bodhi seed. After years of accumulation, the three-eyed Bodhi seed now had over 10 hours of usable time. Li Chang'an looked at the 4 techniques, both magic and cultivation, and thought for a moment. Blood and fire overlapping requires burning my lifespan, so I'll ignore it for now. I already have the demon dragon body refining technique, so I don't need blood demon body refinement either. As for the 3-body core formation technique, it isn't very useful to me either. My chances of reaching core formation are already high enough. In the end, he chose to deduce the magic technique, blood-dripping demon transformation. After regulating his breath for a moment, Li Chang'an sat cross-legged in the depths of his cave residence. Holding the three-eyed Bodhi seed, he began to deduce the magic technique. The difficulty of deducing this magic technique was greater than he had anticipated. 8 hours later, he slowly opened his eyes, a trace of joy flashing in their depths. It should be done. He flicked his finger, sending out a drop of blood. This drop of blood landed in front of him, transforming into a blood-red wood seed. It grew blood-red branches, which in the blink of an eye took the shape of a human skeleton. Immediately after, the branches began to seep blood. The blood filled the gaps and grew skin, rapidly taking on Li Chang'an's appearance. This Li Chang'an, whether in terms of aura or the magical power fluctuations around his body, was identical to the real Li Chang'an. But its actual combat strength was quite poor. The magical power fluctuations were fake. After all, it was just an incarnation formed from a single drop of blood. I'll name this magic technique the blood-dripping incarnation technique. Li Chang'an nodded slightly, quite satisfied. With a thought, the incarnation left the cave residence. It went to Luo Yunchu's and Wang Lingjing's respective caves and spoke with them. Neither of them noticed anything was wrong. After a while, Li Chang'an recalled the drop of blood. He transformed into a streak of light, left Chang'an Mountain, and headed straight for the ancient sect ruins. His strength had grown yet again. It was time to deal with Wang Xiao. A few days later, Li Chang'an arrived inside the ruins and used several Tier 3 middle-grade arrays to lay an inescapable trap, a heaven and earth net. Once everything was in place, he had the controlled Pu Jai and his 3 companions meet with Wang Xiao. They told him a fortuitous opportunity might be present, and that they needed his help to investigate. A fortuitous opportunity. Wang Xiao suspected nothing, and immediately accompanied the 4 into the trap Li Chang'an had prepared for him. He scanned the area and detected a faint fluctuation of spiritual power. Yes, there should be an opportunity deep within these ruins. Let's join forces too. Before he could finish speaking, the 4 men standing beside him suddenly attacked in unison. Boom! The 4 of them wielded magical treasures that Li Chang'an had prepared for the ambush. Having gathered their power for some time, they unleashed their most vicious strike. Wang Xiao couldn't react in time. The protective treasures around him shattered in an instant, and his body was severed at the waist. Blood splattered everywhere in a gruesome display. In the blink of an eye, he was in 2 pieces on the ground, the earth beneath him soaked with his blood. Such an injury would be considered severe, even for a golden core master. His face was deathly pale, and his breathing was faint as he stared at the 4 in utter disbelief. Why would you? Before he could finish his question, a streak of spiritual light flew by and decapitated him. Come! Li Chang'an raised his hand and beckoned. Wang Xiao's soul emerged next to his corpse. The moment he saw Li Chang'an, he finally understood the cause of all this. "Li Chang'an, it was you." Wang Zhao glared fixedly at Li Chang'an. He couldn't believe that the 4 sect brothers he trusted would conspire with Li Chang'an to ambush him. "Pujai, what did Li Chang'an give you?" he roared hoarsely. Compared to Li Chang'an, he hated Pujai and his other sect brothers even more. But Pujai and the others remained silent, standing aside motionlessly like 4 corpses. At this moment, Wang Zhao finally realized something was wrong. His gaze shifted back to Li Chang'an and he asked, "Li Chang'an, what evil technique did you use? How can you control the 4 of them?" Li Chang'an said nothing, simply drawing him into the venerable soul banner. He took Wang Zhao's storage pouch and searched it carefully, soon finding the object of his quest. 1,000-year-old white jade Ganoderma. With a flash of spiritual light in his hand, a palm-sized Ganoderma appeared. The Ganoderma was pure white, like a piece of precious jade. The moment it appeared, it exuded a refreshing medicinal fragrance. Even consuming it on its own would provide considerable benefits. But its most important use was for refining the 5 elements golden condensation pill. It contained an immense yet gentle power, capable of fusing the medicinal energies of all the main and auxiliary ingredients. "I finally got it." A look of joy appeared on Li Chang'an's face. At this point, all the materials needed for the 5 elements golden condensation pill had been gathered. This portion of the 1,000-year-old white jade Ganoderma was enough for one refining attempt. With his current alchemy skill, the possibility of failure was very low. Even if he did fail, he still had the Mu family's Tier 3 wood element demon pill as a backup. "I shouldn't fail." Li Chang'an was very confident in his alchemy skill. He carefully put away the white jade Ganoderma. Then he activated the wood seed technique, causing Pujai and the other 3 to all explode, turning into 4 clouds of blood mist. These men were all members of the Purple Mist sect, and golden core cultivators were considered high-ranking. They could be summoned by a nascent soul true monarch at any moment, so killing them was the safest option. Li Chang'an couldn't risk a nascent soul true monarch discovering his plot. After all, even he possessed a treasure like the stone eye, which could see through the bloodline. He erased all traces and auras from this place, transformed into a streak of light, and returned to Chang'an Mountain. A few days later, Li Chang'an returned to Chang'an Mountain and entered the alchemy room. With a thought, a series of treasures flew out. The 1,000-year-old white jade Ganoderma, Qinghua wood, profound yellow earth, and more. All of them treasures for refining the 5 elements golden condensation pill, bobbed in the air around him. It's time to begin the alchemy. Chapter 530, Chapter 277, 5 elements pill complete, 10,000-year-old monster. Li Chang'an sat cross-legged before the pill furnace. He sent out a stream of wood element magical power, igniting the pill fire. The raging flames instantly engulfed the entire furnace. The alchemy room suddenly grew scorching hot. His expression was focused as he stared intently at the pill furnace, the reflection of the flames dancing in his eyes. Dragon pattern gold. With a thought, a piece of dragon pattern gold flew into the pill furnace, slowly melting into a pool of shimmering golden liquid. Immediately after, the other 4 main ingredients flew into the furnace, successively melting into green, blue, red, and yellow liquids. The 5 colored liquids slowly began to merge. Li Chang'an used the 5 elements mutual production method in conjunction with his alchemy techniques to ensure the fusion process was even smoother. A moment later, hundreds of auxiliary medicines flew into the pill furnace in sequence, melting into pools of liquid that fused with one another. About an hour later, inside the pill furnace, both the auxiliary and main ingredients had vanished. Only 2 pools of liquid, one large and one small, remained. It was soon time for the most critical step. Li Chang'an wrapped the 1,000-year-old white jade Ganoderma in magical power and sent it into the pill furnace, slowly refining it into a faintly glowing white liquid. He focused his full attention, sending out streams of magical power and divine sense to control the slow fusion of the 3 liquids. The process was flawless and went very smoothly. A quarter of an hour later, inside the pill furnace, the 3 liquids had completely merged, leaving only a single mass of shimmering golden liquid. Li Chang'an carefully divided the liquid into 3 portions, then intensified the pill fire for the final step. The quality of the formed pills shouldn't be low. His gaze was steady as he watched the liquid in the furnace, thinking to himself. He had chosen the highest quality for every ingredient, both main and auxiliary. Furthermore, the final fusion agent was a top-tier treasure like the 1,000-year-old white jade Ganoderma, not some ordinary Tier 3 demon pill. The entire refining process had also been completely free of errors. He had already extracted all the medicinal toxins. The 3 portions of liquid boiled within the furnace, continuously shrinking and gradually solidifying into 3 round, shimmering golden pills. After a moment, a rich pill fragrance wafted out from the furnace. "It's a success." A smile appeared on Li Chang'an's face. He raised his hand and beckoned. 3 elixir pills flew out from the pill furnace and bobbed in his palm. They were radiantly golden, like 3 little golden beans. The quality of the first 2 had actually reached the high-quality grade. The third pill was slightly weaker and didn't reach the high-quality grade, but it was still far superior to an ordinary 5 elements golden condensation pill. It went pretty smoothly. Li Chang'an extinguished the pill fire and put the 3 pills away. He only needed 1 high-quality 5 elements golden condensation pill to raise his chances of successful core formation to 100%. The remaining 2 could be used for trade in the future. Next, all I have to do is wait for my body refinement to break through to Tier 3. Then I can find a Tier 3 spirit vein and officially attempt core formation. Li Chang'an took a deep breath, calming his excitement. Although core formation was not far off, he hadn't truly reached that stage yet. He couldn't celebrate prematurely. His path of body refining was just 1 step away from breaking through to Tier 3. The breakthrough should happen within the next month or 2. He went to the depths of his cave residence, released Wang Zio's soul, and began to interrogate him. "Taoist Wang, I heard that Liu Xuanfeng has already reached core formation in the Purple Mist sect. You 2 are close, so do you know what his golden core quality is?" Wang Zio remained silent, glaring daggers at Li Chang'an. Even now, he still couldn't accept that he had fallen into Li Chang'an's hands. Before today, he had always believed Li Chang'an was just a coward hiding behind his array, too afraid to take the initiative. He thought that without the array, Li Chang'an was nothing. But the reality was the complete opposite of what he had imagined. Not only did Li Chang'an dare to strike first, but his strength also far exceeded his expectations. Even without the array, he could still easily slay a golden core cultivator. "Taoist Wang, it seems you'd like the evil soul to give you a warm welcome." Seeing his silence, Li Chang'an immediately summoned the evil soul. With a few strange cackles, the ferocious-looking evil soul appeared. Its scarlet eyes stared at Wang Zio as if it had spotted a delectable delicacy. Feeling that gaze, Wang Zio's expression changed instantly. Inside the venerable soul banner, he had already witnessed the methods the evil soul used to torture the other souls. He immediately answered, "Xuanfeng's golden core quality is half-step golden core." "Half-step golden core, that's within my expectations." Li Chang'an nodded slightly. He had previously speculated it would be a half-step golden core. Wang Zio added, "So what if you know Xuanfeng's golden core quality, Li Chang'an? Your combat strength may be impressive, but you're ultimately just a wandering cultivator from the mountains. Your golden core quality could never compare to Xuanfeng's." Taoist Wang, 10,000 years ago, Mo Qingquang was also just a wandering cultivator. "You?" Wang Zio was about to retort, but didn't know how to refute that. There was indeed a flaw in what he had just said. Next, Li Chang'an asked about some specific internal matters of the Purple Mist sect. For example, the specific strength of Liu Xuanfeng's father and whether he could fight across cultivation stages. Wang Zio answered, "He can fight across minor stages, but not across a major realm. A foundation establishment cultivator might be able to defeat a golden core, but it's impossible for a golden core cultivator to defeat a nascent soul." In the current cultivation immortality realm, there were no longer any divinity transformation powerhouses. Nascent soul cultivators were the supreme existence. It was nearly impossible for a golden core cultivator to defeat a nascent soul. While Li Chang'an was asking his question, outside, news of the fall of the Purple Mist sect's 5 golden core cultivators had gradually begun to spread. The Purple Mist sect was furious. They had dispatched a large number of personnel to investigate the ruins, vowing to find the culprit. The various golden core influences in the southern domain also announced that they would cooperate with the Purple Mist sect's investigation to find the killer in the shortest possible time. However, half a month passed without anyone realizing it. There was still no news about the murderer. Within those ruins, it was as if the 5 golden core cultivators had vanished from the face of the earth, leaving not a single trace behind. Saintess, we've searched everywhere. There are no traces of Wang Zio or the others. We also questioned the late golden core stage cultivators from the various golden core influences in the southern domain. None of them were in the ruins that day. Even if a late golden core stage cultivator had made a move, the 5 of them should have been able to hold their own. The implication was clear. It was possible that a nascent soul true monarch had acted. Even if it wasn't a nascent soul true monarch, it had to be a golden core cultivator with astonishing combat power, such as the saint children and saintesses from the various nascent soul influences. Saintess, we suspect it might have been done by a demon sect cultivator. The demon sect. The Zai Saintess seemed lost in thought. The people of the demon sect weren't madmen. If there was no grudge, they wouldn't have attacked the 5 for no reason. The only one who had recently made an enemy of Wang Zio's group was Li Chang'an of Chang'an Mountain. But Zai's thoughts were similar to those of Wang Zio and the others. Without his array, it was absolutely impossible for Li Chang'an to have killed all 5 of them in such a short amount of time. Who could it be? Standing on the flying ship, Zai pondered for a long time. Meanwhile, Xian Cloud sect, deep within the sect's spirit vein. Li Chang'an, controlling Wanxing, arrived at a secluded cultivation chamber here, preparing to attempt core formation. Since he was about to attempt core formation himself, he planned to use the puppet to try it first and gain more experience. 5 days later, Wanxing successfully achieved core formation. The quality of his formed pill was a superior true pill. A superior true pill, that's within my expectations. Aside from body refinement, he's a notch below Xianxia in every aspect, and he didn't have that golden symbol to help him like she did. Li Chang'an silently reviewed the entire process of Wanxing's core formation. A few more days passed. Murong Kang, inside the soul banner, could finally hold out no longer. Under the evil soul's relentless torture, he confessed how he had obtained the demon planting technique. He had found it in a predecessor's cave residence. He had shared Li Chang'an's suspicion, wondering if the technique was bait left by a more powerful being. But he had no choice. My talent is poor. I can't compare to senior sister Pei. If I didn't practice this demon planting technique, I would have no hope of reaching core formation in this lifetime. Murong Kang confessed that even if there was a problem with the cultivation technique, he accepted it. He just wanted to become stronger, to enjoy the fleeting glory of being powerful. Even if he would ultimately be refined into a puppet or a clone for some stronger entity, he didn't care. Aside from this demon planting technique, he had never had any great opportunities. He had to seize this chance. In that predecessor's cave, he found not only the demon planting technique, but also a message left behind. What did it say? Li Chang'an asked. Murong Kang replied, the predecessor guessed that Mo Qingquang might not be dead. Not dead? Li Chang'an was somewhat surprised. Mo Qingquang was a figure from 10,000 years ago. If he wasn't dead, how did he survive for 10 millennia? A nascent soul's lifespan is only 1,000 years. Murong Kang continued. The predecessor suspected that the demon planting technique he found was bait left by Mo Qingquang. Cultivating it to the end would turn one into a blood seed, and both one's magical power and lifespan would be devoured by Mo Qingquang, who hides in the shadows. Li Chang'an frowned. The blood seed technique can only devour magical power, not lifespan. Theoretically, that is correct. According to existing records, the blood seed technique cannot devour lifespan. But, after all, this magic was created by Mo Qingquang, who knew to what extent he had perfected it later on. With his heaven-defying comprehension, perhaps he really could create a magic that devours lifespan. Devouring lifespan. The very thought of it stirred Li Chang'an's heart. What he sought in this life was longevity. If such a magic truly existed, he would naturally want to obtain it. The evil soul had once told him that there was more than one path to longevity in this world. There were all sorts of strange paths. But the evil soul couldn't recall the specific details of these paths. Li Chang'an had once speculated that comprehending the mysteries of reincarnation and being reborn with a complete memory in each life was likely one such alternative path to longevity. If one lifetime wasn't enough to attain the Tao, then one could use 10 or 100 until they finally walked the true path of longevity. Furthermore, the path of devouring lifespan should also be a viable one. If Mo Qingquang is truly still alive, after a full 10,000 years have passed, what level would his strength have reached? Li Chang'an thought to himself. Even a pig, if it lived for 10,000 years, could become an unimaginably powerful existence. To say nothing of a peerless genius with astonishing comprehension like Mo Qingquang. There are probably quite a few old monsters like that hidden in the cultivation immortality realm. I can't let my guard down. Li Chang'an warned himself. For the next half a month, he hung a sign indicating he was in seclusion, accepting no visitors. He focused on the path of body refining, getting closer and closer to breaking through to Tier 3 body refinement. Finally, late one night, Li Chang'an felt the signs of a breakthrough. He was submerged in the body refining medicine liquid, and the pain racking his body grew increasingly intense, as if tens of thousands of ant beasts were frantically tearing at his flesh. Chapter 531, Chapter 278, Nascent Soul-Killing Tribulation, Chang'an's Core Formation. The path of body refining. The pain of a breakthrough was particularly intense. Even with Li Chang'an's immense tolerance for pain, he couldn't help but furrow his brow and grit his teeth to endure. Inside the medicinal bath, the liquid churned as if it were boiling. Glug glug glug. A mixture of blood and medicinal herbs created a nauseatingly thick odor that filled the entire cave residence. Li Chang'an's entire body was scalding hot and crimson red. At this moment, he truly understood the meaning of the saying, "A day feels like a year." The agony seemed to multiply with each passing moment. An ordinary foundation establishment cultivator would have likely fainted from the pain long ago, interrupting their cultivation technique and causing the breakthrough to fail. But Li Chang'an remained clear-headed, continuously circulating his body refining technique to assault the bottleneck to Tier 3. An unknown amount of time passed. With a crack, a fissure suddenly appeared on the surface of his skin. Immediately after, more and more fissures appeared. He looked like a shattered porcelain doll, his body covered in a terrifying network of cracks. About 4 hours later, the cracked old skin began to peel away, revealing fresh crimson flesh underneath. The breakthrough was reaching its conclusion, and the pain racking his body slowly subsided. When it was all over, Li Chang'an rose slowly from the medicinal bath. His muscles were like knotted steel, and his qi and blood were so vigorous he seemed like a tiger or leopard in human form. A Tier 3 aura emanated from him naturally. With his current physique, he could withstand the attacks of an early-stage golden core cultivator. I finally did it. Li Chang'an let out a long sigh of relief, a smile gracing his features. His final weakness before core formation had been addressed. Now he only needed to decide which Tier 3 spirit vein he would use for his core formation. The Mo family was the natural first choice, followed by the spirit veins belonging to the Zhou family, the Mu family, the Huang alliance, and other powers. Unfortunately, they're all someone else's spirit veins. Ultimately, that's not safe enough. Li Chang'an felt a tinge of regret, but tentatively set his sights on the Mo family. He left the medicinal bath and went to his seclusion chamber deep within the cave residence, where he swallowed a few qi blood elixir pills. Over the next few days, he did not leave seclusion. Instead, he used a qi and blood treasure to consolidate his body refining cultivation. He had originally planned to head straight for the Mo family to undergo core formation after leaving seclusion. However, something unexpected happened. On the Two Realms battlefield, the southern domain was defeated yet again. The western domain's army pushed deep into their territory, heading straight for the heartland. In just a few short days, large swaths of the southern domain's territory were annexed by the western domain. Countless families and sects were forced to abandon their spiritual lands and flee deeper into the heartland. The spirit veins of both the 3 great sects and the 7 great clans were no longer safe. Although the western domain's main army had not yet formally invaded the heartland, small groups of their cultivators had already arrived. They frequently tested the defenses of the 3 great sects, mountain gates, and the ancestral lands of the 7 great noble families. Some Western cultivators even infiltrated the secret realm to attack Yihao's Huang alliance, but Yihao repelled them all. The chaos is spreading so quickly. Li Chang'an's brow furrowed. He began performing divinations, trying to find a safe place for his core formation. But the results of his divinations were all confusing and ambiguous. Don't tell me I have to leave the southern domain and go to the northern or eastern domain for my core formation. Before he knew it, midnight arrived. As usual, a golden light materialized before Li Chang'an's eyes. Divination has been refreshed. Today's divination, Auspicious. The Xiao family's genius, Xiao Heoran, is being hunted by Western cultivators. He flees to the outskirts of Chang'an Mountain. You will rescue him, slay the Western cultivator, and obtain a spirit cloud pearl from their storage pouch. Spirit cloud pearl. Li Chang'an's heart stirred. This was a treasure used to upgrade a spirit vein. If dissolved within a Tier 2 top-grade spirit vein, it could temporarily upgrade the vein to Tier 3 low-grade. According to ancient texts, the upgrade would last for 3 to 6 months. After that, the spirit cloud pearl's power would slowly dissipate, and the spirit vein would revert to Tier 2 top grade. However, that was more than enough time for Li Chang'an to complete his core formation. If I can get this spirit cloud pearl, I won't need to rely on an existing Tier 3 spirit vein. I can leave this area, travel deeper into the southern domain, find a Tier 2 top-grade spirit vein, and temporarily upgrade it to Tier 3. Li Chang'an was delighted. In these chaotic times, the spirit cloud pearl had appeared at the perfect moment. He reread the divination's text, making sure he hadn't misunderstood. Strange, that guy Xiao Heoran still hasn't undergone core formation yet. Li Chang'an's gaze lingered on Xiao Heoran's name for a moment, puzzled. His sister Xiao Yu had achieved core formation long ago. Yet he remained at the peak of foundation establishment, making no preparations for core formation. Instead, he was fighting on the two realms battlefield. It was all rather strange. There must be more to the story. I'll ask him after I save him. Li Chang'an slowly rose and walked into his courtyard to wait for the events of the divination to unfold. Several hours later, just as the sky began to lighten at dawn, a streak of light suddenly shot across the sky, heading straight for Chang'an Mountain. The person was none other than Xiao Heoran. Taoist Li, please save my life. His face was pale and his body was covered in wounds. His aura was in disarray, a clear sign he had just been through a major battle. Behind him, a Western cultivator with a powerful aura was in hot pursuit. With a flicker, Li Chang'an appeared outside Chang'an Mountain. A smile touched his lips as he said, Taoist Xiao, I thought our next meeting would be at your core formation ceremony. Hearing this, Xiao Heoran's expression turned bitter. He moved to Li Chang'an's side and sighed. Alas, it's a long story. For now, please help me deal with this enemy, Taoist Li. All right. Li Chang'an turned his attention to the Western cultivator. The man was quite young and bore a slight resemblance to Fan Zhou, a man Li Chang'an had previously killed. Xiao Heoran warned Taoist Li, that's Fan Yunfei, a celestial pride from the Western domain's Mandarin Duck Valley. The Fan family is a powerful branch within Mandarin Duck Valley. They have several golden core cultivators, and his father, Fan Wei, is one of them.